It started at our annual neighborhood barbecue, the one everyone looked forward to all summer. The smell of grilled meat and freshly cut grass hung in the air, kids ran barefoot across the lawns, and laughter drifted between houses. It was the kind of day meant for easy smiles and light hearts. I'd spent the morning flipping burgers, handing out plates, and trying to pretend everything in my life was just as cheerful as the weather. Claire, my wife, played her usual part, flawless on the outside, distant underneath. To everyone else, she looked like the picture of grace and confidence, that effortless smile, that laugh that carried just enough warmth to make people believe we were the perfect couple. But I knew that smile. I knew it was armor. As the drinks started to flow and the chatter grew louder, Claire's filter began to fade, the way it always did when she'd had one glass too many. She stood near the fire pit, surrounded by a few of our neighbors, including Mr. and Mrs. Jennings from across the street and Daniel, the new guy who'd just moved in. Daniel was in his early 30s, single, confident, effortlessly charming, the kind of man people noticed without trying to. I was by the grill when I heard her voice rise over the laughter. "Honestly," Claire said, her tone playful but sharp, "if there's a trade-in program for husbands, I might just cash in Mark for a newer model." The group laughed, but the sound was uneasy, forced. People glanced at me to see how I'd react. I smiled politely, though I felt something twist inside. Claire, encouraged by the attention, wasn't finished. "Maybe someone who actually knows how to dress," she added with a smirk. Then she turned toward Daniel. "Now he looks like husband material." The laughter this time was thinner, more uncomfortable. My stomach tightened. It wasn't the first time Claire had made me the punchline in public, but doing it here, in front of friends and neighbors, cut deeper. Still, I kept my expression calm. I'd learned long ago that confronting her only gave her more power. But Daniel didn't laugh. He took a slow sip of his drink and looked at her, his tone level, but heavy with meaning. "Be careful what you wish for, Claire. Some people trade what's loyal and real for something shiny, and realize too late that shine doesn't mean substance." The group fell silent. The smirk vanished from her face. She laughed nervously and tried to brush it off. "Oh, come on, it's just a joke." Daniel's reply was quiet, but unflinching. "Maybe, but most jokes hide a truth, don't they?" That silenced her completely. She turned away, fiddling with her drink. The others awkwardly changed the subject, but the tension stayed in the air like smoke after a fire. As the evening went on, I noticed how Claire avoided Daniel's eyes, how her laughter lost its usual sparkle. For once, it wasn't me who looked embarrassed, it was her. I kept smiling, kept serving food, pretending nothing had happened. But inside, something had shifted. That one remark had exposed more about our marriage than years of quiet suffering ever could. When the party ended and the last guests drifted home, the silence in our house was suffocating. Claire moved around the kitchen, clattering dishes more than cleaning them. Finally, she turned, her voice sharp. "You didn't have to just stand there looking pathetic while he humiliated me." I looked up slowly from my chair. "Humiliated you? Claire, you did that yourself. You joked about trading your husband for a newer model. What did you expect people to do? Applaud?" Her eyes flashed. "It was a joke, Mark. Everyone jokes like that. You take everything too seriously." I sighed. "No, Claire, everyone doesn't joke about replacing their spouse. You do, because deep down you mean it." Her face hardened. "You're unbelievable. Daniel overreacted, and now you're taking his side." "I'm not siding with anyone," I said quietly. "I'm just tired. Tired of being the man you mock to make yourself feel superior." She stared at me for a moment, then scoffed. "Maybe if you acted like a man worth bragging about, I wouldn't have to joke." That one stung, but I didn't let it break me. I stood slowly, meeting her gaze. You think those comments make you sound clever, Claire, but all they show is how empty you've become. You treat kindness like weakness and loyalty like a burden. For a second, her expression faltered, but pride quickly replaced it. Whatever, I'm going to bed. She stormed down the hallway, leaving me alone with the echo of her words. The next morning was heavy with unspoken tension. I went outside, mowed the lawn, fixed the fence, anything to keep my hands busy while my mind spun. Around noon, Daniel walked over, holding a set of tools. "Hey, Mark," he said easily. "Need a hand?" We worked side by side for a while, the rhythm of hammering and conversation oddly comforting. Finally, he spoke again. "Listen, I hope I didn't make things worse last night. I just couldn't stand hearing her talk to you like that." I shook my head. "You didn't make it worse. You said what everyone else was too polite to say." He nodded, thoughtful. "You deserve respect, man, not public mockery disguised as humor." His words hit harder than I expected. It was strange hearing that from someone who barely knew me. For years, I'd been waiting for anyone, to see what I lived with behind closed doors. And finally, someone had. That evening, Claire came onto the porch. Her tone was quieter, but her pride was still there, clinging to her like armor. "Everyone's talking about last night," she muttered. "Even Mrs. Jennings." I didn't look at her. "Maybe that's what it took for you to finally hear yourself." She crossed her arms. "You're loving this, aren't you? Seeing me embarrassed for once?" I shook my head slowly. "No, Claire, I'm not enjoying it. I'm just done pretending. You've made a habit of tearing me down, not just at home, but in front of people. Maybe now you'll realize words have weight." She sighed, trying to regain control of the conversation. "It wasn't that deep, Mark. People will forget about it in a day or two." "Maybe they will," I said, meeting her eyes, "but I won't, because that wasn't just a joke. That was the truth of our marriage, how you stopped seeing me as a partner and started using me as a prop." For once, she had no comeback. She just stared, like she didn't recognize the man in front of her. Maybe she didn't. For years, I'd been quiet, swallowing my pride, letting her rewrite every story to make herself the hero. But not anymore. A few days later, Daniel stopped by again to return a wrench. Claire was sitting on the porch when he arrived. She looked uneasy, smaller somehow. "Hey, Daniel," she said, forcing a smile. "About the other night, sorry if I made things awkward." He shrugged. "No need to apologize to me. Just remember, Claire, when you joke about trading someone in, you show people what you really value and what you're willing to lose." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Daniel handed me the wrench, gave a small nod, and walked away. As his footsteps faded, Claire turned to me. "You two must really think I'm a terrible person." I didn't answer right away. "I think," I said finally, "you've forgotten what respect feels like. You spent so long chasing admiration from strangers that you've forgotten the difference between being desired and being loved." Her eyes filled with tears, but there was no apology in them, only shame. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she whispered. "I know," I said quietly. "You just wanted attention. But attention fades, Claire. Dignity doesn't." That night, she slept in the guest room. The house felt heavier than usual, but in a strange way, freer, too. For the first time in years, I felt peace. Not happiness, not relief, just a quiet stillness that comes when the truth has finally been spoken. Maybe she learned something from that night, maybe not. But I didn't care anymore. Because Daniel's words had done more than silence her, they'd reminded me that respect isn't begged for. It's reclaimed.